I started reading tarot 18 years ago. It'll be 19 years in 2026. So, in honor of that upcoming anniversary, I want to start a series where I go through how I learned tarot. This isn't the right or the wrong way. It's just the way I have done it, the things that I've learned throughout the years, and the mistakes that I've made, and the things I wish I would have done sooner. So, if that interests you, stick around because this is going to be the very first lesson. So, if you already have a tarot deck, that's fine and that's great. I'm not encouraging anybody to go out and buy anything specifically. But what I would recommend, if you don't have one, or if you have one and it's not like this, that you go and get a traditional Rider-Waite deck. Now, I'll go into why in just a minute. But in addition to that deck, or a deck similar to it, I want you to go and get a roll of masking tape. This is just for display purposes because I actually think it'd be a better tool if you got the ones that are thinner, like the thinnest roll that you can find. And they come in all kinds of different colors. Just get whatever it's easiest for you to visibly see in a writing utensil with a fine point. So a pen or like one of these fine point Sharpies. Once you have all those, set it aside and do this next lesson real quick. I want you to take the day that you were born, the date, right? So let's use my birth date as an example so you can follow along. I was born on the 18th of the month, which means in tarot, I'm ruled by the moon. Now, in the Rider-Waite deck, this is going to be the traditional depiction. And this is kind of why I recommend starting with this deck so you can get the traditional iconography down. When I first started learning tarot, the images on the card were really important for me to assign meaning and remember meaning when they would come up in a deck. Now, I have all my favorite tarot card decks. I'm going to show you the difference in depictions from author to author so you can see why that might be important to have the traditional depiction. See how they're like very, very different. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you learn what the moon card means or what you assign it to mean, because remember, there's no right or wrong way to read tarot. This is a tool. You get to decide how this tool is used. And you're going to get sick of me hearing that because I'm going to reinforce this idea through this entire series, but try to lock it in your mind. If you get used to seeing like this card, right? This is the Eight of Coins Tattoo Tarot. And you assign meaning based on this little lobster, then that is what you use for your tool. And it's going to change as time goes on, but you just want to get familiar with the image so that you can assign that image values, right? So this is my birth energy. I was born on the 18th day of the month, so I am ruled by the moon. And what that means, and why I think it would have been really cool and important and useful for me to have known this sort of thing when I first started, is because it ties me to this energy in a very intimate way so I can understand it in a reading in a much more personal way. But then I can also apply the way that I learned this meaning to all the other cards, right? Now, the moon, if you've been delving into tarot for a while and you already have a lot of these ideas in your head, that's really great. But if you've never looked into it, the iconography of the moon and what it's supposed to mean is this sort of veil between worlds where things are unclear and we're in this illusion. We're not seeing things clearly, right? It being my birth energy, that means that that is what I am ruled by. That is the way that I walk through the world. It's kind of the veil that I wear as I'm making decisions and thinking about things and my emotional health. And it's a part of a unique story. You can't change what your birth energy is, right? And it has so many beautiful qualities as a tool that I use throughout my day outside of tarot, just knowing that I'm ruled by the moon. And also it helps me get a little bit of a cheat sheet in knowing why I struggle with certain things where other people don't. So moon in reverse is going to be, that's actually when the clarity comes in. That's when the veil is lifted. That's when, I start trusting my intuition and I start seeing things for what they really are. And I have that balance between spirituality and clarity. So I want you to figure out what you're ruled by, and you're going to take the day of your month or the day of your birthday. Because there's only 21 major arcana, If you are born on there's 22. If you are born on the 23rd and up, you're going to have to do a little bit of math. I'm sorry, but you're going to separate those two numbers and then you're going to add them together. In numerology, you're always going to want to reduce the number to a single digit. So let's say you're born on the 29th of a month. That's going to be 11. Then you're going to take those ones, separate them, add them together, and then you would be ruled by the high priestess, number 2. So take that single card once you figure out what your birth energy is, and then you're going to get your masking tape. You're going to get your card. When you buy a deck of cards, they're going to come with like a little instruction booklet, and those are always great because it's got some like very basic interpretations. You're going to take and the reason I use masking tape, by the way, is because it's easy to remove from a card without tearing off that top layer. And like, you can use stickers. I've used Post-it notes. I've used those like labels for mail. I've used so many things because I've done this in years past when I was still really learning tarot. It's so helpful to just have a little strip with you write the meanings, right? At the very bottom. And then if you want to do reversals, I do reversals, so that's how I'm going to teach it. And then you turn it over and write the meanings so that when it comes out on the table, you can read what you've written in correspondence with the picture that you're seeing. Make sense? So again, masking tape, something to write on, and you're going to do that. First assignment in the whole series. And I know it's annoying to get homework, but I'm a Capricorn, so I can't help it. Now, I'm not even it's going to take a while to go through all these cards, right? And I'm going to start with the major arcana first, but if you want to have time, energy, whatever, you can go through each card and do that. And you can reference the book that it came with, any other books that you have, any, interpretations that you've already assigned these cards, and just go through and make your own little cheat by putting the same, like what you've assigned to it on every single card. I swear it helps so much because you can also remove that strip and change the meanings as you sort of develop your relationship with the tarot world and all the big players in it. So that would be the first lesson that I would give. Understand your birth energy and go through your deck and really personalize those meanings, or just put the blanket meanings on all your cards so you can get familiar with them. Extra credit. These are 3 books that I use all the time. And I'm not saying you have to go out and buy them. If you can find a place to download them for free or rent them from your local library, please have a local library card. Use your local library as a resource. But these are 3 books I use all the time. The first one is this one. It's just a beginner's guide to numerology. And it's got so much information in here about sort of the energies of all the different numbers. So sometimes when you buy a deck, there'll be all kinds of extra information on it. Like, I love this Intuit Tarot deck, but look at how much information. Like, it's got all the keywords, and I love that. But it's also got like the symbols for the zodiac, and it's got numbers, and it's got planets. Like, it can be a lot, and it can be confusing. And sometimes when you've got that much information on a card, it's too much. And the last thing you want when you're doing a reading is to start second guessing yourself because you're interpreting too much information, which is absolutely going to happen, and that's fine, especially if you're like brand new. But you want to try to keep it simple and just learn like little bits at a time so those lessons kind of compound on themselves, which again, when I started reading tarot, I did not have this mind frame, and I wish that I had, because I was 16 years old, so my brain had not fully developed in a lot of different ways, but it was just sort of chaos. It was sort of chaos when I would read my own cards, which is what I think the majority of new readers do, which is that's how you learn, is you read your friends, you read your family, you read yourself and your energy and your love. And like, the reason I got my very first deck of tarot cards because I was so desperately in love with someone and needed to know what was going to happen, right? So I get it. But anyways, that's the guide to numerology. You also might find, let me grab it. I know you can get these online. I think you can download them too, but I get them at my local metaphysical shop. When I'm doing readings, I actually have these out for people to look at when they're like in my space, and they're just like also little cheat sheets. I love having these around as quick little like flashcards for numerology. And I've got one for the chakras. Like, I've got all kinds of that stuff. You don't need it. This is just extra. I use this book all the fucking time. All the time. The encyclopedia of magical herbs, okay? And you're thinking, what does this have to do with tarot? You'll see. Plants are magic and they're medicine. And if you really start to attach to your moon energy and you start to see energy outside of tarot, which you will, the more you use it, you're going to start to understand how things are really connected. And sometimes incorporating plants, like making your own incense, making your own tea, like when you do readings, stuff like that, it can be really, really helpful. And this book, like, okay, so like geranium, right? It's got its gender, energy. It's got what planet it's ruled by. It's got what element it's ruled by. And so you can go through here and you can kind of see, you'll notice that depending on your birth energy, you've been naturally drawn to a lot of these plants already. So I recommend it because not only is it useful, but it ties you to your intuition that you've already innately had this whole time, right? And then this one I got a few years ago and I use it, like, I look at this thing almost every day, the astrology magic. And it's about astrology, which is important in tarot when you think about the outside influences, the major arcana, right? But more than that, it kind of puts lots of things in very digestible categories. So I have this bookmarked because if you can see this, I'm trying not to catch this book on fire with my candle, but you see this, Pisces, right? And Pisces, the tarot card of Pisces is the moon. So even though I'm a Capricorn, moon energy is Piscean, right? And the ruling planets of Pisces are Jupiter and Neptune. So again, I know it's a lot of information, but it's not like something you have to study. It's just something nice to have so you can start connecting all the dots when you're interpreting information and understanding things on a deeper level if and when you want to. Again, not totally necessary, but that's where I would start. And then just as a side note, I'm going to be posting these on TikTok, but because I also am going to still be doing my collective readings, I am going to be uploading them to YouTube. And I don't upload my collectives to YouTube, so it'll be the only place where you can actually just go and find the list of the one, because I can't make collections right now. And I know it's kind of annoying to have to like scroll through someone's page to find like specific videos. So I'm going to do that. And if, as I'm going along in all these videos, I really do want to know what you guys want to know. So ask in the comments, ask for clarification. If something didn't make sense, let me know. Like, and if it's something I don't know, I'll research it. And if it's something I am not supposed to be teaching you, like it's culturally sensitive or significant or outside my own practice, I'll tell you. Like, I think one of the reasons why it's really important for me to, or if I feel it's really important and exciting to do a How I Read Tarot is because the tradition of tarot and mysticism and witchcraft has been so heavily suppressed and stripped from us working class folks through settler colonialism and white patriarchy that any interest you have in it is very likely ancestral without you knowing it. And that's how it is for me anyways. It doesn't have to be. I'm not saying it's unimportant if it's not, but there's just something that tells me that there's a lot of young witches, you know, wizards, hierophants, high priestesses out there who have this natural draw to being seers and being psychics and being mediums, which, by the way, you don't even have to use these skills to do what I do, which is like read people's tarot. You can use them in all different areas of your life. And it's just really a special gift and an important skill that anybody has the capability to learn and should be able to, right? Without a pay barrier and without, you know, access barriers and stuff like that. So I know that's a lot of information for the first video, but like I said, I don't really have a rule book on how this is going to go. And you guys let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next episode.